depends on the vendor and then the version if they're part of the Linux firmware update deal there.
Yeah, which this thing is not.
And what kind of PC is it?
It's a HP TP01-2 XXX.
Lose the chat on the stream.
Oops. Desktop or laptop? Must
Desktop.
be desktop, right?
Desktop. Always
yeah,
desktop.
because of the card. That's right, because of video card. You said
Yeah.
Hey, while we're all here, let me ask. Next week, Saturday the 27th, I'm not going to be around. Are you guys doing a roundtable?
No.
We might meet up.
That's the day we're having our Christmas, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be out of town, so
I might jump online to see what people are doing, but I'm also going to be on the HBR New Year's show.
Oh shit! We need to start.
Yeah, we need to discuss that because it's going to be on I know the server Mumble using lugcast.minix.dev.
Oh, okay.
HPR, that's the one where they do the all night recordings.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Oh crap! It's Dale.
there he is.
Hey Dale, welcome. You made it. We see you.
Can you,
Hey,
can you
Bill?
see me and hear me?
I was gonna say he starts talking and all you see
Yep.
is lips moving.
Bill,
Yeah.
can you get rid of the chat on the YouTube stream?
Get rid of it.
Craig. The Discord chat. You need to bring down the Discord chat.
Oh wow, yeah. I need to start Craig yet.
Now recording.
Now I can make it go away. Boom shaka.
So
Hey,
apparently
Lemon
that was,
Zest, how you doing?
apparently that was an issue with the deb file.
So you're using the flat pack now?
Yeah.
Never had a problem with the flat pack. Well, then again, I don't know. I don't know what's causing my problem. I'm building another machine. I've got more to say about it. I also tried to upgrade the CPU, but that didn't take either. Exact same line, exact same socket, exact same generation. Won't take it because this motherboard is so locked down. I don't know what I was thinking when I bought this thing.
I just got the dog calm, and then you just...
All right.
He was calling cute.
Who's hosting? Look at all them hands go up. Whose turn is it?
I can. I mean,
I
it's
can-
probably my turn.
I mean, if you want the guest to
You're
do it,
already
I
doing.
can.
You're already doing the innards. You're going
Well,
to be
it's not-
talking enough.
Don't have any voice left.
Well, I don't think mine's that long. It's not as long as the mobile phone stuff I did. Like in Linux innards, that's 1 page, 2 page. Okay, it's like 2 and 1/8 pages. So,
And
it
you know
also-
what's going to happen.
Well, it depends on how much conversation we have on
Exactly.
it. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Plus, we have what looks to be... Okay, that's Jim. Jim's going to move that. But we do seem to have some security and privacy, which I assume is Charles.
Wow.
Oh,
They're two pretty short articles, so they're not
When you-
very long.
Okay.
Okay,
So
these,
it's just going to be news, security, and privacy, and then innards.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want a super long show. We've been trying to avoid those.
Right.
I need to make
That's fine.
sure. I think I see here, Charles. I need to make sure that I've got links to take me directly to what you're talking about to put on the show description for the podcast. So is this the link you put in right before React to Shell vulnerability that's written in italics? Is that the general link?
Yeah, the links I have in for both of the security things go directly to the articles.
Okay.
Yep.
So then it's Tarmageddon.
And even the
Law.
one even the one about the AI headphones, University of Washington, that's a direct link
Okay.
too. So
I removed my wanderings since I'm not going to be here.
Dang it, dog. You're making it hard to type.
Cool beans.
You ever try to type while a dog's licking your fingers?
Whoever's gonna host, mention when you say remember to follow the show notes. Mention that if you're in the live stream, we don't have them up yet because I do not have them on the website yet. I'll get that done while we're in, well, not while we're in the show because I'll have to do a complete select all and nobody likes that. All right, so is it you, Joe?
Yeah, I just needed to add something to the... Check this out.
Let me know when you're done. We'll do a 3, 2, 1 and then 20 seconds. Oh, God.
All right, I'm done.
All right, everybody ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. All right, go, Joe.
All right. Welcome to mintCast, the podcast by the Linux Mint community for all users of Linux. This is episode 475, recorded on Sunday, December 21st, 2025. Taking it easy, I'm Joe.
Had it with this machine. I'm Bill.
it's almost Christmas. I'm Charles.
My intro has been redacted. I'm Jim.
Driven crazy. I'm Dale.
First up in the news, Linux Mint 22.3 Xena beta release, Mint Monthly News December, and a variety of other items, including some articles in security and privacy. In our innards section, which first in a while, Dale will be discussing SyncThing. And finally, the feedback and a couple of suggestions. Please remember, if you want to follow along with our discussion, the full show notes for this episode are linked in the show's description at mintcast.org/show notes.
Just not right now.
Yep.
If you're in the live stream,
There was
they're
some
not there
issues
yet.
with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll get them up there.
Okay, first up the news. Linux Mint 22.3 Xena beta release. This is from the Mint blog by Clem via Londoner. This new version of Linux Mint contains many improvements. For an overview of the new features, please visit What's New in Linux Mint 22.3 link in the show notes. To read the release notes, please visit the release notes for Linux Mint 22.3. Upgrade instructions will be published after the stable release for Linux Mint 22.3. It will be possible to upgrade from this beta to the stable release. It will also be possible to upgrade from Linux Mint 22.1 and 22.2. And like I said, there's a link in the show notes to the blog. We just wanted to keep things short so that Dale has more time with the innards.
I got a couple of things.
Okay.
That's a first, isn't it? To be able to update to the beta from one of the point releases.
Yeah, to the beta from like 22.1 and 22.2.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. I
No,
have
me
seen
neither.
the whole upgrade path from the beta to the,
Yeah. Well, that just happens
actual release.
without you noticing. But the new menu, has anybody seen that yet? Because that came down in an update today on 22. Excuse me, 22.2. The new menu
have
that
not.
it looks kind of it looks more like the classic style menu that you would get. You get two different styles. You get the it's kind of a Windows 7-ish type look, and then you've got the Mint menu from the Mate desktop sort of look, and it's more of a traditional kind of menu that you're used to seeing from the Arc menu for GNOME or the Whisper menu for XFCE. The Brisk menu for Mate, it's more kind of in line with that sort of, which I kind of like it because I like a menu where I can put several favorite items without it stretching the menu out too much. And I've always in the past I'd switch to the Cine menu, which is you have to download that and install it as a plugin, an applet. But
And Londoner is saying that it has a lot of customization
yeah, it does.
for the menu.
It's kind of cool. I've switched to it. So far, so good. So
I saw a screenshot of it earlier today on Telegram, and yeah, I agree. It does look very good. It has the vibes for the Windows 7 type, which I like. I mean, it's useful and functional.
It's kind of rare to be able to upgrade to the stable release from a beta, isn't it? In most Linux distros.
no, I think that's
No.
always worked. It's just getting the beta without doing a nuke and pave. That's a new thing because
That's new.
Yeah, in the past you always had to completely nuke what you had if you wanted to use the beta. Now you could go from point release to point release, or from point release to major version release, and there's always been a upgrade path for that. But I think this is the first time we've been able to get at the beta without doing a nuke and pave. So that's cool.
Wait.
Yeah, I think so too, because I'm having enough trouble, for crying out loud. I don't need that kind of stuff on top of it.
Yeah, I'll stick to stable.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just old.
Now, if they said, "Hey, this is everything is going to be on Wayland on this release," or something, something interesting like that, then I might switch over, and then, ooh, that sucked, and switch back maybe. I don't know, but right now I think I'll just stick to the stable release.
Okay, then up next, security and privacy. Charles.
I guess that would be me. Yeah, so found this, the React to Shell vulnerability, exploited to deploy Linux backdoors. So just a quick summary. React to Shell vulnerability exploits. It's tracked as CV 2555-182. This came out earlier in the month. Exploited by threat actors, including at least 5 Chinese Nexus groups. And the group to weaponize a flaw, distribute numerous malware payloads, and causing all kinds of problems for cybersecurity. So 2 of the malwares it deploys is called a K-swap door and a Zen door. And associated with this, and creates a sophisticated remote access tool. Uses some really stealth IDs to, it's hard to find. Then the next one, credential theft. It can steal credentials, and reportedly it's compromised over 59,000 servers. So it's definitely being very active out there. So as they say, patch your stuff. Here's the mitigation. It says update affected patches such as React Server DOM Webpack, React Server DOM Parcel, and React Server DOM Turbo Pack. So this affects you. Probably wise to update as soon as possible. So that's the React to Shell vulnerability. And moving on, I have the next one here. Tarmageddon flaw in ASICs tar Rust library could enable remote code execution. I was actually listening to another podcast on security, and they were interviewing the I don't know if he's the CEO or the CTO of Adara, and they have a product, and they were doing some testing, and they found this weird edge case flaw, and they started looking into this, and they said, "Oh my God, this is horrible." But anyway, it's an edge case, and they actually found it back in the summer. Oh, I'm sorry. The CVE is 2025 62518 with a score of 8.1. So it was discovered by Adara. Like I said, I was listening to an interview with the CEO or the CTO, and he was talking about how they found this, and they found it back in the summer. And they said part of the problem with tar is like 35 or 40 years old. Tar is actually a bunch of components bolted onto it, and one of the old libraries that it was using had gotten, somebody put some malware on it. And the only reason they found it is because they were doing this special use case of it. And so they started, it took them a while to work with a bunch of people that supported the various libraries. And they finally got it patched, and then they were able to go public with it. But it's pretty nasty. Like I said, it can, and I guess the big thing, it handles for the PAX extended headers and UTAR headers, allowing attackers to smuggle things into it. So it was pretty bad. So again, the mitigation, if you're using these different tar components, you should upgrade as soon as possible. But anyway, it was just kind of interesting because they were saying, tar is used everywhere, for all kinds of things, and we kind of take it for granted. But yeah, this is a pretty nasty use case here. So anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting, and thought I'd share it. So there you go.
I did a double take when you said Tarmageddon, because I thought you said Carmageddon, and that was one of my favorite video games from back in the day. I think it was a DOS game. I don't know if any of you guys remember it, but it was a very fun game, and I still have the disc, and I might want to try to figure out if I can get it to work on Linux at some point.
Yeah, Tarmageddon, that's quite a cool name. And as I say, if a vulnerability comes out, you got to have a great name for it. So that's what they came out with. So
It should work on
anyway.
DOS box. Have you ever tried anything like that?
Yeah, I think that might be an option.
Yeah.
I'll look it up online to see what others say.
So moving on, I guess, do we have any bi-weekly wanderings? Doesn't look like
No.
any. Well, I guess, no?
We are
Okay.
skipping the bi-weekly wanderings, and they will be on the next show. We are dedicating this
got it.
show to Dale.
Oh, okay. That's right. Jim said he had been redacted. Okay.
Okay, so if there's nothing else in news or security, let's move on to the Linux innards, where we will be discussing Syncthing with Dale. Dale?
Alrighty then. This was a topic that had piqued the interest of many members of the team here. So I thought I would share my experience and what it takes to get this working on your home lab or just on your regular network. So Syncthing is a decentralized file synchronization service. It synchronizes in real time between two or more computers using the TLS protocol, which is the transport layer security. It's the same thing you would use signing into like your bank or any other encrypted web presence. It is open source, which is available on GitHub and is licensed under the MPL2, which is the Mozilla Public License version 2. So you can inspect the code, and if you're able to contribute, you can do the pull requests and whatnot to help them out. Syncthing is available on Linux, Windows, macOS, FreeBSD, OpenBSD, and Illumos, which is a fork of Solaris. Open Solaris, to be more specific. And you can also compile Syncthing from the source files. It's available in many distros, software centers, and it's available from Docker. Though if you want to get the most current version, you can download it from its website, or they also have a apt repository that you can use with Ubuntu and Debian-based distros. It's a mixture of what I'm using. I'm using the apt repository on my desktops and my laptop. I'm using Docker on TrueNAS Scale or I guess what TrueNAS Scale is calling their Docker implementation. And on my ReadyNAS, I had to download the targz and extract it because of reasons. So, moving on. For the iDevices like iOS, iPadOS, you can use a application called Mobius Sync. It is a third-party app, and it's not FOSS. So if that bothers you, well, sorry for your luck. For Android, there is a SyncThing fork, which is open source, which is available from Google Play or F-Droid.
Just a couple of quick questions here. SyncThing, you basically set up the folder for it, and then it sets up a sync, and then you go to another device and you set it up there, and then you set it to receive from there. And this is using the BitTorrent protocol?
I'm not exactly sure what protocol. I didn't look that aspect of it up. But I'm thinking it could be something similar to that. Their protocols and everything are documented on their website, and it's fully available to view. But
looking at your notes, when you're syncing large files, if you precede the sync by having identical copies on each device, that sounds like the BitTorrent protocol, because with the BitTorrent protocol, the more locations you have it in, the quicker it will seed to another system.
Well, that suggestion is more of my suggestion for how to start off. I
guess
can't.
I skipped a little ahead there in your notes.
Well, no, it's my fault for not disclosing that it was my suggestion. I had seen others in the forum suggest it, like if you're doing like a couple terabytes of Blu-ray rips or DVD rips, that if you already verify that everything's in sync, it'd be easier to do that, because basically when it's doing its hashing on each side, it's comparing the hashes, and then when it's happy, it'll say up to date.
So according to Duck AI, SyncThing uses its own custom block exchange protocol, or BEP, to transport file data and metadata between devices. The actual connections between devices are encrypted TLS streams over which BEP runs. So in short, transport is TLS over TCP, and application level protocol for sync is the BEP.
So it's their own.
So it's their
own custom one, but it sounds very similar. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking so.
Because I in the past I have mentioned Resilio Sync, which just uses the BitTorrent protocol. So I was wondering what the difference was there.
Yeah, because they, they have everything well documented. I'm really impressed with their disclosure of how they're doing everything. It's pretty much they're showing exactly how the cheese is made, and it's like examples of like we'll get to later in the discussion here about how they do the connections, because they use um, uh, what do they call that, Quick from Google, and they also will use UPnP and some other stuff. But we'll get to that in a minute here. But as far as like the sync thing fork, it is FOSS. The Google Play is handled by a different dev because he has the dev keys to publish on Google Play. And the F Droid is maintained by another dev. But the people that maintain Sync Thing for the other OSs are in communication with these other developers. And I think like a month ago or so, I think Moss had posted that the SyncThing fork had changed hands, and there was some worry about it because of other projects being hijacked by people of ill intent. But the developer from SyncThing, one of the developers, had a discussion along with the developer that does the Google Play distribution, said that all is clear, nothing to worry about. The person that the dev that was doing the SyncThing fork handed over the keys and everything to another dev that he worked with, so it wasn't some rando. And the SyncThing dev says it's open source, so it's not like he's going to be able to do anything that we're not going to know about. So, and trust me, there are plenty of people in the forums that have the credentials to be able to read through the source code. So I have no worries about it myself. So in any case, I just wanted to clear that up because I know some others may have that concern and may have heard that in the Linux media about the dev changeover on that part of it. Now we're going to get into a little bit of the nuts and bolts of it, what Joe was asking about. Each device uses a unique ID paired using a string, and the easiest way I can describe it is it looks like a Windows license key. It's a bunch of letters and numbers separated by hyphens, and it pretty much looks like a Windows license key. By default, each device accepts or rejects each pairing request manually. It'll pop up in the web GUI and say, such and such device wants to connect. And it's yay or nay. And you'll see that in your logs for failed attempts that you can go back and clear so that it can make another attempt. There is an auto accept option, but that makes me nervous. So I wouldn't do it unless you're on a corporate land and nothing, ever leaves, type of thing. And you've got VPNs and you've got your stuff, nailed down. It might be okay. But for me, that just makes me kind of nervous. And I just rather just click OK and let it, so I know what's, attaching to my my pairing arrangement. Because the way this works is if your ID gets out and publicly known, somebody can attach to it. And you would have to go and detach them. But it's pretty much like somebody gets into your network, you already lost.
Could you change your ID?
That's one thing. You're asking very good questions that I do not know the answers to, but I'm not sure exactly how those IDs are generated. So that's a very good question because I've never even thought about that. I don't want to even venture a guess and be wrong, but I'll do it anyway. Maybe it's something where it's just taking random bits from your computer, like your MAC address and some other things, and hashing it, and that's your ID. I don't know. That would be a very curious thing to look up, because I
No,
know.
I think you would be able to change your ID relatively easily just by setting up a new share, because it can't be dependent on your computer if you're using it from multiple devices. And even then, just, would a reformat completely change it? I
That's
don't
a
know. I'd
good,
have to look it up.
that's a good question, because the pairing, because they say in their documentation that I read through that that's why they can ensure that your data is intact and can't be eavesdropped on top of the TLS, is because of the hashing that they use with the IDs, because it's a pair bond between those two instances. Even though you can have multiple devices being able to sync between one another,
I've got another
the
AI generated
instances.
answer to that question. The short answer is not easily from the UI, but it is possible. The device ID is derived from your TLS key/certificate. So
Okay.
your certificate and your key is going to be directly. I mean, that's going to be hard coded into both of those, right? To get a new ID,
Yeah.
you delete the key.pem and the cert.pem while sync thing is stopped. So that's important, to stop the connection. And then on the next start, sync thing generates a new key pair and a new device ID. So there you go. Shut down the sync thing, delete the key pair, meaning the key and the certificate, and then the next time you start, it reestablishes. You'll just have to reset up the connection, and then you can make a new ID at that point.
Pretty
If
much
that
like
makes sense.
Yeah, it's pretty much like SSH keygen, where you're generating public-private key pairs, and you just revoke that public key, or your private key rather. So yeah.
And it does
So
say
good.
also one more thing. There's two caveats. All other devices will see you as a new device. So if you're just syncing between two devices, not a big deal, right? But if you've got a bunch of devices in the swarm or whatever you want to call it, then you're going to show up as a new device. You must repair and reshare the folders, So I guess the more complicated your setup is, then the more faffing around you would have to do. And then one more thing, it says you cannot manually choose a specific ID. It's determined by the generated certificate. So I'm not sure what that
That's
means,
cool.
but there you go. We embrace AI here on mintCast. Me and my cohorts.
Well, thanks for the input. That's helpful.
Right on.
Now, we're going to get on to the more of the nitty gritty here. And so, I just love this weather we're having in Ohio. Boy, 60 to 20 to to 40. Oh, heavens. Okay, one of the benefits is you don't need to open any ports on your router or your firewall. It uses many different connection methods to reach its devices. I previously mentioned it'll use the quick protocol and some the what do they call that, the plug and play protocols. And it doesn't matter if you're using NAT or the CG NAT, which is the commercial grade NAT, which a lot of cellular providers will use that. And I guess if you have like a cellular service where you're mobile broadband, but that's your home internet, those will probably use a CG NAT system, and even a traditional firewall. So anything like that. If it doesn't, there is a troubleshooting guide in the documentation that'll help you figure out how to get the nodes to talk to one another. And there's also no need to remember any of the IP addresses, port numbers, and anything like that. All the connection work is done automatically. You type in the your ID and follow through the prompts, and it's all, like magic. Now, there are global discovery servers by default, but they are only there to broker the connection. It's pretty much like with Tailscale and other services like that, where your connection leaves your home network, goes through your firewall, your NAT, and leaves a state table saying this connection was left open by this device on the interior network. And then when it comes back, it's pretty much like an amusement park or a nightclub where they put that, UV reflective ink on your hand, that little stamp. You need to show it under the black light, and the person lets you back in. That's pretty much what the state table does on your NAT router or your firewall, where it knows to let you back in.
Tell us about the places you go and get that done, Dale.
Yeah. I plead the fifth.
Mm-hmm.
What stays in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Or the east side of Indianapolis.
Or any of the
moving right along.
Any of the not to be mentioned clubs across the country. Yeah. And like I said before, this is all done under the cloak of TLS. So these servers receive nothing. Basically, it goes out and says, this node with this incredibly long looking hashed value is needing to connect to this one over here. And it says, oh yeah, that one's at 210.210.55.4. Oh, okay, thank you. So it doesn't, it doesn't know what it's carrying. I mean, this is just the initial, because another thing is that the global servers are there for not necessarily traffic cop, but just basically, well, I guess you could say traffic cop, but it's not funneling the traffic, because when you're doing the sync between nodes, it's end to end. It's not going up, going back down. It's going direct. Now, it can be used on a memory or CPU constrained device. For, like I mentioned before, if my how old is this thing? 13 years old, 12, 13-year-old Netgear Ready NAS. It has 2 gigabytes of memory with an Intel Atom 1.7 gigahertz CPU. And I looked in my Micro Center receipts in my email, and I bought it in December of 2013. So it's getting kind of old there. So if I remember correctly, and I didn't write this down, but if I remember correctly, I'm thinking it only uses a couple hundred kilobytes of memory. Now, it's going to use your disk cache and other things to use more memory. But when I was checking it, because I was concerned about running sync thing on there because of the memory constraint, and I've pushed a couple terabytes through there, and it's fine. With the 1.7 gigahertz Atom CPU, hashing a lot of data, like 6 gigabytes, or is that right? Yeah, 6 gigabytes of, that doesn't sound right. But I think it's like 6 gigabytes of my music. It took like an hour, a little bit over an hour to hash that, where my Ryzen 5 5500 in my bedroom did it in like 10 minutes. So, you just have to be patient when you're dealing with a potato like that. Now, the preferred method of configuration is via the web browser, like a lot of things are these days, like TrueNetScale or Pi-hole, etc. There is also a command line syntax that you can use, but it's much better to use the command line. I'm not to use the web GUI over the command line. It uses port 8384 on your local network using your local host by default. And how that would work is you would put in your web browser 127.0.0.1 colon 8384. And by default, there's no password or username. It just automatically opens up. And I was considering having Bill let me share my screen on that, but then I saw that my ID is listed in some of the screens, and I didn't want to play with fire. So you'll have to watch some YouTubers that have done this already, or any other avenues to be able to see that for yourself if you want to, if you're curious what it looks like. But pretty much the display pretty much has on the left-hand side your list of all your folder syncs, and on the right it gives you all the stats of how you're connected, your name of your device, your key, your ID, and then below that it has the hot buttons where you can add a device and other admin functions, and then there's a settings thing on the top. It's pretty much a very well designed GUI. Now, there are two methods for headless server access. Like, for example, on my ReadyNAS, there's no monitor. Actually, there's no monitor on my TrueNAS either. So, the first one is via SSH port forwarding, and the other is to SSH in and configure the thing manually through the config file. The SSH option is beyond the scope of this discussion.
I don't think it is.
Well, it's
not
more,
that hard to do. What is it?
Oh, no, it's not hard.
SSH space TAC capital L, and then the remote server, and you're forwarding port 80 essentially to your local machine. So that way all your traffic is going through the other machine as if, you were doing it from there. It's actually a useful tool.
Okay. Yeah, because it's been a while since I've done anything like that.
It's been a little while since I did too.
So I didn't, and I forgot to look that stuff up. Yeah, because I just put that in there just for form and manner. So I didn't have to try to blow the cobwebs out of there trying to remember how to do that. But to edit the config file, you will look for the section that says GUI listen address. And there, it'll default to the 127.0.0.1 colon 8384. What you do is you would change that to 0.0.0, 4 zeros, 80 colon 8384. You can also change the port number, and you can choose anything above 1024 that's not already used. If you want to use a privileged port, that's going to require doing some set GUI bit stuff at the in the command line to allow SyncThing to access anything below 1024, because that's root or another privileged process like Apache or anything like that you would need to set up.
And it's almost always a good idea to change the port number. Yes, I know it's security through obscurity, but every little bit helps.
Yes, and it's very easy, because instead of typing in 0.0, or even if you use the 127 localhost, it's very easy. You just change whatever's after the colon, and you just have to remember it, to connect. Now, if you do this, it's strongly advisable to create a username and password. In fact, every single time you go to the web interface for SyncThing, it'll ask you to do it, and it will keep asking you until you do it. So even if you're doing something like Tailscale or WireGuard coming into your network or any other type of VPN, okay, but I sort of like the belt and suspenders approach to things, and every little bit helps. Now, the typical use case for running SyncThing is as a service. Now, their documentation has instructions for the most common init services that are available on Linux and the BSDs. And they have the Windows instructions also in Mac. Now, be aware that SyncThing will run as the user defined in the init service. For example, systemd by default runs as root. So anything written by that process is owned by root. The other option is to run as an unprivileged user, which is any user maybe you want to create. It could be the one that you use, or it could just be any other user account that you create. So keep this in mind in regards to file permissions. And so on my Netgear Ready NAS, I have SyncThing running as a systemd user service as the username Dale. And I'm using the linger option. That may be unfamiliar to a lot of people because it's not a real common option for systemd units. What the linger option allows is the service to run even if Dale is not logged in. Because the default for systemd user services is if you're not logged in, it doesn't start it. So you will need to add this linger option when you set up the systemd unit so that it knows to do that. Because I forgot that when I was setting up my Ready NAS, and couldn't figure out why. I thought it was just because it wasn't able to run, SyncThing. Then I realized that I didn't enable the linger, because as soon as I SSH'd in, it starts working. It's like, I disconnected. It stops working. It's like, facepalm. Now for, like I said, regular desktop use, I would just do the regular Dale @ and then the service name for the SyncThing service that you're creating to start when you log in. Now, get into the actually using it. For your first pairing, before you even do any of that, you need to create folder pairs. And you're just basically doing half of the pair. And what you do is you go on your first device. Doesn't matter, because this is, even though I treat mine like hub and spoke, you don't need to. So basically, go to your first device. Just go to one of them, whatever one you want to share the files from. Now, you could select a folder, and I could just use this as an example, like your documents folder in your home folder. Now, when you go into the, selecting that folder, and it does respect like tilde. So if you want to do tilde and the name of the folder, it'll expand it to /home/Dale/documents. This is a shorthand if you like doing things, typing instead of pointing and clicking. Now, after you do that, SyncThing is going to scan through the files and hash what's there. Now, take note of your device ID for that computer, that device. Now, go to your next device that you want to add to your SyncThing farm. Now, you're going to go and click on Add Remote Device. Here you need to go back to your original initial device and accept the connection request. And they'll do the little handshake thing, and eventually, after a few seconds, it'll come up and say nothing shared, but it'll show that it is connected. And it is part of the hive mind, if you want to think of it that way. Now that you have the pairing between the devices, you can select which folders you want to sync from the remote device. Now, don't get confused the first time I did this and thinking that I had to set up my folders first and then the remote folders. No. What you have to do first is pull instead of push. So you have to go in and you're selecting from what is being shared from that initial device. And then it'll walk you through the steps that you need to do. And you tell it where you want that to be stored at. And for simplance, that's a new word, simplance. For simple means, I just reuse the same file names, documents, pictures, etc. And you go ahead and save that. And that's where it will, if the files are already there, like I said, if you want to precede your files, that's where that instance of sync thing will hash those files, and then it'll go through a process of comparing the hashes. And then after however long it takes, it'll come up and say, done. Or let me look at my phone here to see the exact vernacular. It says up to date is what it will actually report. Now that is one sync pairing. And it'll show you the percentage of how much it's completed. Then it'll do, that it's up to date. And like I said, if you're syncing a lot of files, you can precede it. Like if you already verified that everything's identical, it'll save time. But if you're on your local network, it's really not going to make that much of a difference if you want to precede or not. I was taking my laptop on the road to go to work, so I didn't want to try to sync, 75 gigs of files through a mobile network connection. It took long enough for it to compare the hashes, just by themselves. I will use my configuration as an example. I have 2 desktops, a laptop, a phone, a storage server, which is TrueNAS scale, and my NAS, which is my NICR ready NAS. My 2 desktops and laptops are paired with my NAS. Like I said, I do the hub and spoke because I'm just used to that methodology of thinking. They include the following folders: documents, pictures, music, and videos. My NAS is paired with my storage server with the same folder hierarchy. When I create, delete, modify a file on my laptop, that file is synced with the NAS. My 2 desktops are automatically synced from the NAS if they're powered on. At the same time, my NAS is syncing with the changes to the storage server. And that was more of my thinking of just, even though I'm on a gigabit network, it's more of, I was just thinking, what's going to happen when I change a file? Well, I want to do the least amount of work possible. So it's going to go from here to the NAS and then NAS to the storage server. And then if the other computers are on, it'll be disseminated out. But that's just the way my brain worked. This is not the correct way, and this is not the incorrect way. This is just the Dale way. Now my phone, it shares one folder with the computers, which is my music folder. So any changes to the music folders are replicated between my phone, the 2 desktops, my laptop, the storage server, and the NAS. And it is kind of funny. I did this once just because I'm a nerd. I had all the web browser things open and I made a change. I just touched a file at the terminal. And it was kind of funny watching them all light up. Sync, 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 sync. Dun, 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 dun. It was just, I was just nerding out. But in any case, I also have a separate documents folder that's separate from my documents on my computers on my phone. And I also have some pictures when I save a file from Telegram or Discord. I have those synced to my NAS as well. Or if I take a picture with my camera, those files are synced to my NAS, and then those folders themselves are then replicated onto TrueNAS. Now you could have each device pair with each device. Like I said, there's no wrong way. Like I said, I like doing the hub and spoke because that's what I'm used to.
Right. The hub and spoke is, to have the centralized computer and then everything else attaches directly to that. But I suppose you're saying that you could also do a daisy chain?
Yes, like for example, to use my example, like the way, like how I described mine, where I have my bedrooms over there, I have my office computer here, my laptop, and then behind me is the storage server and the NAS. And the way, like I said, it works now is if I download a picture on my desktop, it's going to go to the NAS. The NAS is going to send it to my bedroom. It's going to send it to the laptop. And if it's part of the pairing on my phone, it'll send it there. You could then have a pairing where bedroom has a sync pairing with office. Office has a sync pair with the laptop. I mean, the NAS has a sync pair with office, bedroom, laptop, phone. I mean, there's no wrong way. It's basically how you understand it in your brain because, like,
Right.
2.5.
Well, I think with the hub and spoke method, you're going to get less issues if one drops out. Because if you're using like a daisy chain method and one in the middle goes out, everything down the line from it's not getting synced anymore, right?
Yeah, and the way I look at it, my NAS and my storage server are always on. They're 24/7. So, like when I came home Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning rather, after I got done recording distro hoppers, I went into my bedroom and turned on my bedroom computer, and it synced with whatever changes were on the Ready NAS. And then when I turned it on, when I did the recording with Majid for the distro hoppers, it did its sync here, on this computer. So that's like the benefit in my mind is because something is always on. Now it'll hold and wait until the peer comes online before it does, it's syncing. So like I said, there is no wrong way. It's just more of how you understand it. It's like what 2.5 admin says. A backup that you do not understand, and I'll caveat this, but let me finish. A backup that you do not understand is not a backup. It's a disaster waiting to happen. Sync thing is not a backup. It is a synchronization tool. Now, I was going to get to this later in my show notes here, so if I repeat this again, you'll know why. But while it's in my brain, I'll say it now. Excuse me. The default is two-way, where if I'm on here and I look at that picture that I took of something and I'm looking at it now on my computer where it didn't look blurry on my phone, but it looks blurry on my desktop, and I'm like, I don't want it. I delete the file, and it's like bink, 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 bink within seconds. It's deleted. It's gone. There is a way you can enable the trash can like you can on Samba, where you can recover stuff. There is It's not on by default. So when you delete something, it's gone. So the other option is one-way sync. And that is where it can be a backup. Where I've thought about doing this for my storage server, but I'm going to have to get some more storage for it in order to do this, because I'll have to go and prune stuff to make sure I don't run out of space. But I've considered that doing that on it, where everything that comes into the TrueNAS or into the ReadyNAS will one way to the storage server. I've considered, like I said, I've considered that, but I haven't implemented that yet. Now, here's a caveat: learn from Dale's mistake. I lost time that I'm never going to get back. I could have been doing something else, especially when I was at work when this happened. Do not try to sync nested folders. And if you're not familiar with that term,
let me guess. It replicated into itself, into itself, into itself, into itself, into itself.
Yeah.
And ate up all your drive space.
Let's just say I'm glad I have a 100 gigabyte plan on my mobile router. Let's just say I was about 25 gigs short the next time I woke up that morning. I'm like, why the blazes are you not done yet? I'm like, oh crap. Yeah. So a nested folder, what is that, Dale? A folder under a folder, which is fine. That's normal file hierarchy. But no, what happens, like you can have folder structure and have that sync. It's not what I'm saying. Sync thing will do that. What I'm talking about is, okay, use my example, how I screwed up everything. Like I said, I had a documents folder on my phone that's separate from what I have on my computers. Because like I have a wiring diagram of the 7-pin connector on my trailer for work. And if I ever have to do anything with getting that pigtail, if a light's not working, sometimes these wires or the pins get compressed and they need to be straightened out so that they make a connection inside the pigtail. And I want to know which one it is. So, and I also have some other documents for work and stuff that are on my phone, but I don't really need them on my computer. So, because I like having organization, I had a separate documents folder in my documents folder, but I called it phone documents. Yeah, that, I don't know how it got confused, but it started syncing other things. It got really confused. I don't know how it did it, but it ended up syncing files that it shouldn't have been syncing to my phone. And yeah, or from my phone, and a loop, like what Joe was saying, a loop. Yeah. So don't do that. Create another folder outside of documents, because that was ugly. There is a way in the documentation to do that with exceptions and other types of settings in the advanced settings. I didn't try it because burned once, I'm not going to try it again. It's like, yeah, not going there again. So let me see, since I talked ahead of myself here in the show notes here. Let me see where, let's see. Yeah, there's some other stuff I was going to mention here. There's much more that sync thing can do that I'm just touching the iceberg here. It's very tip here. It's very capable of doing many other things. There are options like I said, file exclusion, folder exclusion, one-way sync, file versioning, trash can, and goes on. I mean, there's like file permissions. You can do extra bits, the set UID special permissions and other things. You can really get into the weeds with what you can do with it. But I'll open it up for anyone else that has any questions, because otherwise I am
Okay.
done. And if anyone has any questions about this, they can reach out to me through my socials that'll be at the end of the episode.
So this is kind of a Nextcloud replacement.
For matters of file syncing, yes. And nothing against the Nextcloud people, because they fill a niche that works very well for people. But I think for ease of use, and not really the setup side of ease of use, I'm talking about set it and forget it ease of use, sync thing wins hands down, because I haven't had to touch anything since I set this up.
Right. Well, I know that
And-
there's a lot of other similar tools out there, including, Brasilio Sync. I think there was one back in the day. I don't know if it's still around, called Styrofoam.
yeah.
But this one seems to have had some longevity to it. Even more, like Brasilio Sync is still around. It just got to be really, really unpopular after they started putting in a whole bunch of licensing crap that made it not open. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I guess Sync thing, it would probably be a lot simpler than Nextcloud, but Nextcloud has a lot more integrations that you can use, much like with the show notes that we're doing.
If
right
all you were
Yeah.
using Nextcloud for was just backing up files, then yeah,
Syncing files.
sync thing would probably be a better option. But I mean, Nextcloud is your complete cloud solution with everything from calendar to
Music players.
and
Yeah,
you've got multiple people collaborating, and it's a complete solution where this is just something to keep your. I wanted to touch on
Niche.
something you brought up earlier, where this is not a backup solution, and I wanted to get into that a little bit deeper, because I think some people may get it twisted in their head a little bit why something like this is not a backup, because it seems on the surface it seems like a backup, but it absolutely is not, for one simple reason. If you have sync thing running, the same calamity that caused the data to go bad
If
in
one file
location,
gets corrupted,
it's going to ruin it everywhere. A backup is a solution where you run the backup, whether on some sort of schedule. You're not using a tool that is constantly connected like Sync Thing. You're doing it where you're taking a snapshot of the data at a certain moment in time, and you're sending that over whatever connection to another storage device, and then that storage device is disconnected from anything that might go wrong with the original copy. That's a backup.
Yeah,
I
I would highly recommend using the one-way sync or getting an external drive, because Bill is correct.
And-
Sync thing doesn't care who deleted the file. If it was deleted, it gets synced.
Yeah.
yeah, or if it gets corrupted because something's wrong with a hard drive on one of your systems, then guess what? That update's going everywhere. And I know that you had also mentioned the not the trash, but the saving things that have been deleted. I know Resilio Sync, if you don't go into the settings and turn that off, it can be a major problem. I think it also used to be because I've had this issue before where I was using Resilio Sync to bring my audiobooks to my phone. And, then I would delete the ones that I had finished and then sync some more from my collection over. And it ended up filling up my entire phone, and I did not know why. And it's because everything was in the trash. So do be careful with that as well.
Yeah.
But and low power systems for this type of syncing, I mean, yeah, maybe it takes a little bit more time, but it's going to get synced. So
Yeah. I've never had a problem with my readiness over the initial sync. Even like one single file isn't going to tax that much. It's just when you throw 6 gigs of MP3s, I mean, one of the things that like I tried doing my movies for my soon to be Jellyfin, which I canceled before my renewal for Plex because I
Good man.
didn't have.
Well done.
So, anyways, I tried doing over a terabyte of media files, and the estimate that Sync Thing was telling me on my readiness was 8 hours, and then like an hour into it, it was 9 hours, and then another half hour into it, it was. And I'm like,
as the cache fills, as the queue extends.
yeah. So yeah, just have that in mind. But in normal use, it's not that slow. Even though it is a potato from 2013, it's not that bad. But here's some other things I just thought of when Joe was speaking earlier. The other thing when I did a lot of research and why I settled on SyncThing, because I've been using SyncThing for my desktops and stuff since the summer. But from my phone, because the other thing that Joe was interested in is syncing notes. And that was the main reason why I had SyncThing on my phone going to the computer, because I wanted to be able to sync notes back and forth. And that's why I thought, well, it works so good for that, I'm going to set it up to sync all of my files. Now, why I landed, because I tried Nextcloud, I tried C-File, I tried some of the ones that you mentioned, Joe. And this is the reason why I've settled on SyncThing, is because like C-File and Nextcloud, you can access, you physically can see your files there. It's not like a tar archive where you have to go and do the command to search for your file inside the tar archive, for example. The reason why I like SyncThing is my files are visible and not in a database, because on C-File and on Nextcloud, your file is an entry in the database. Even though you can physically see your files, you delete that file without going through the Nextcloud interface, Nextcloud still thinks the file's there. And same with like C-File. And the reason why they do that is because the indexing, and it's really, I'm not slamming them, I'm not faulting for them. That's a good feature, because for the use case of Nextcloud is you have a large enterprise or a small business that's needing to search for files and move files around. It's easier for it to search for stuff through a flat database than it is doing a file system call and trying to find it through the file system. So that's the reason why I like SyncThing, is the only thing that it has is the metadata and the hash values for the files. So if you delete a file, it just deletes it from its metadata, but it handles the I/O process for that. You're not asking SyncThing to delete the file. SyncThing just is sitting there twiddling its thumb, goes, data1.doc is gone. Okay, removed it from the meta file. Oh, you just took a picture, IMG, what is today's date? It's like, oh, he just took a picture, IMG 2025, 012, 12 dash, 21, this time code, yada, 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 yada. Oh, I'll add that to the metadata. So that's the other thing you might want to take in consideration when choosing your file archiving syncing system, is these things. And I'm not saying C-File is bad. I'm not saying, like I said, Nextcloud is bad, but just know how each thing works. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this. If you have any other questions.
Anybody else have anything they want to add? Questions?
Has anyone looked on the YouTube?
Yeah, I've been
Didn't see
following
anything yet.
along the whole time, just
Yeah.
like you guys have, right?
I have that
Right?
caught up.
Right?
I
I'm,
have.
I'm
there.
signed in. I'm signed in, but I've been talking for the past 45 minutes or so. So I haven't really. I've glanced over at it, but I haven't read anything.
No, nobody's asked anything specific about Sync Thing.
But I hope give it a try because it's free and open source. Everything's documented. There's no cloak and dagger stuff. You want to know how they implemented the quick protocol. You want to know how they did, like what Bill looked up about how it creates the sync ID. Everything is documented. You cannot get more open source than this. Even their protocols are well documented. So I'm a fan.
Okay, well, if that's everything, I guess we are moving on to check this out.
I guess
Charles?
that would cue me. Yeah. Thanks. So AI. I guess I should start putting AI/ML because AI has been such a co-opted phrase here. It doesn't really mean what it means,
It's
but
become a marketing
nonetheless.
term
So
more
yeah,
than anything.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So came across this article. It's short. It's brief. So research at the University of Washington up in Seattle. They've come up with some AI headphones to automatically learn who you're talking to and let them hear them better. So basically, the gist of it, they've come up with some technology here, especially with people that are impaired. The AI to track speech patterns of the specific person you want to listen to kind of mist all the background noise. And they activate when the wearer speaks and utilizes two AI models to analyze and filter out unwanted sounds. And testing has significantly improved the audio quality. And proactive technology is designed to enhance the listening experience without requiring users to manually adjust the settings. So I guess that's a pretty good, cool thing here. Obviously, this is still in research, but I guess they have like a prototype working of it, and hopefully someday this will go out to the real world and be a benefit to people. So there's a link there in the show docs, and you can check it out. So.
Okay. And then I had included some information for the HPR New Year's show. I am not quite certain which server they're planning on using. It's either lugcast.minix.dev or it's chatter.skyhaven.net. But the information will be, that's for Mumble, by the way. Which Mumble server they're going to use. It's either going to be lugcast.minix.dev or it's going to be chatter.skyhaven.net. I'm fairly certain that they're going to use the lugcast.minix.dev, having talked to the people that run it. But when I went and looked at the hackerpublicradio.org/newyear.html, which link in the show notes, they were saying that it was going to be the HPR one run by Delwyn, which is the chatter.skyhaven.net. So I will include both of those in the show. And if you don't know, the New Year's show is a 26-ish hour long HPR show where anybody can join and come in and talk, and a lot of your favorite podcasters, if they do anything in the Linux space or tinkering space, we'll jump on there and just talk. And as each time zone goes by, it'll get a mention and a happy new year. And it's actually really fun. And I've gotten to talk to a lot of my favorite podcasters on there. So Popey jumps on there every now and again. Joe Resington has been on there several times. Usually everybody from the mintCast and the Linux Lugcast and the Linux Link Tech Show jumps on at least for a bit. So, I mean, I'm not going to be on for the full 26 hours or anything, but I will jump on and off throughout the day, depending on, family and anything else that's going on. So please jump on and come say hi to all of us.
Gotta try to get a hold of a soundbite from them, because normally this time of year we put it as a ad spot.
Yeah, they haven't released one.
Yeah. Well,
what is the protocol? What is the protocol or format? If you jump on and you want to say something, you raise your hand and say,
talking.
"Hey, I want to."
No.
You just start talking. You don't have to
talking.
sign up, get in the queue, or anything.
No.
Queue.
No.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever used Mumble before.
A little bit just through the web and Jupiter Broadcast. I've jumped on there once or twice. So.
Yeah.
No,
you just jump on there and. Everybody is usually pretty polite to each other. There isn't a whole lot of talking over each other. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because it does. But you jump on there and just join whatever conversation, and most people are still pretty polite about it. So,
In which time zone does it typically start in? Just out of curiosity.
Whichever one it starts at, the new year. So.
Like
I don't
Australia or
remember
something
the
or
exact
whatever?
start time.
Australian
Yeah, the
time.
first to New Year.
Okay. Because they're ahead of us by 24 hours or 26 hours, depending on the time zone. So,
Yeah, they're
anyway.
already well into tomorrow.
I think it's somewhere east of, somewhere in between. I think Australia and Hawaii. I think it's somewhere
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I think it's like some island. I can't remember. The
I thought it
name
was
of but it's
UTC, but whatever.
Well, that could be too.
International Dateline, whatever it is.
That could be very possible too, because I think the whenever I've looked at the when the next day comes, I always saw it was like east of Australia, but yeah, we're not going to get down the rabbit hole of the whole GMT. What's the other one?
UTC.
UTC. Yeah, UTC. Yeah, we're not going to get down that rabbit hole.
So would it be UTC 0?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
are
Greenwich.
any of you guys thinking about jumping on? I know I'm going to be on there.
If I'm not working,
Okay.
I've listened.
'Cause
I've listened to some of the stuff before, but I've never joined. So.
Well, there was always a separate
You got all
stream
the equipment,
too,
you should
wasn't
join.
there? So if you just wanted to listen, you could just subscribe to
Yeah,
us.
there's almost always a listening room, and I know that Honky is going to have a ice cast, so it will be live streamed as well. And it will also get released as a podcast, probably in, I think they do 3 segments or 4 segments throughout the year. So you can go back later, pick it up on HPR, and listen to it. Oh, and if you haven't heard of HPR, that's Hacker Public Radio. And anyone can put a show on Hacker Public Radio, and they're always looking for more shows. If you have something in the tech space that you want to talk about, put it on there. I mean, I know guys that have put stuff on there about, remaking or fixing old Hot Wheels cars. So anything you want to put on there, put on there. They are happy to take a new show. And you can go on there and look at their entire backlog and pick up anything that you are interested in. Somebody has put it out there.
yeah, because for example, my talk I just did on SyncThing, and pretty much I only use their website just to get some of the particulars for the show notes here, but pretty much everything I wrote that I just read off was from my head, just from me experiencing it, and that's really all they want. They just want, it's sort of like for nerds by the nerds type of thing, and it doesn't even have to be computer related. You can have anything that you have interest in.
Yeah.
And let's face it, if you're here listening to us, you're a nerd. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're a nerd. There's no getting around it. Might need to call somebody. Moving on.
Oh, okay. On to housekeeping and announcements. Thank you for listening to this episode of mintCast. If you see something that you think we should be talking about, tell us. Send us an email at mintcast@mintcast.org. Join us live on YouTube. Post at the mintcast subreddit. Chat with us on Discord and Telegram. Or post directly at mintcast.org. All those links are in the show notes. Our next episode is at 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time on Sunday, January 4th, 2026. And you can get that converted to your time zone with the link in the show notes. Next Saturday, we will host a roundtable live stream. Please come and join us using the Discord voice channel at 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time on Saturday, December 27th, 2025. Now, I don't know if that one's going to get broadcast or not because it is so close to Christmas, and I don't know how many people are going to be on, but at least one of us will be there for some time just to see if anybody wants to hang out. And you can get that converted to your time zone with the link in the show notes. Livestream information is at mintcast.org/livestream. Moving on to the wrap-up. If you like the sound of my voice, I'm Joe. I'm also on a couple of other podcasts. TLLTS.org, that's the Linux Link Tech Show. And then there's also the Linux Lugcast, which is at linuxlugcast.com. Those are the guys that will be running the HPR New Year's show. You can send me an email directly, jb@mintcast.org. Or there's the link in the show notes to buy me a coffee on Ko-fi. Moss could not be here with us today, but you can catch his other show, Full Circle Weekly News. Or you can send him an email, moss@bodhilinux.com, or he's on Mastodon at zyvala@hostux.social, and occasionally he puts out an episode on HPR. Bill?
Real quick before I get started, somehow or another it ended up back in the show notes. When he said post directly at mintcast.org, we no longer do that. I've got the comments turned off on the website. We were just getting too much spam on there. And it wasn't used all that well anyway. So somehow or another that ended up back in the show notes. I don't know how, but yeah, so just keep that in mind. Everything else is still perfectly usable, and there's plenty of ways to get in touch with us. I would say email would probably be the preferred method, but there are several. So anyway, you want to get a hold of me, you can email me, bill@mintcast.org. I'm at WCHauser3 at Fostodon on Mastodon. Also check out my other two podcasts, Linux OTC and Three Fat Truckers. I do Linux OTC with Eric and Majid from mintCast fame, so go check that out. Majid couldn't be with us today. You can email him at drmajid@mintcast.org. He's also got Atypical Doctor at mastodon.social for his Mastodon, and Atypical Doctor on Instagram and Threads. He does a show on his own called the Atypical Doctor Podcast. It's actually pretty good. Don't tell him I said that. And he's also on Linux OTC, as I said before. Eric couldn't be with us. He can be reached at eric@mintcast.org. Charles?
Yes, I can be reached at charles@mintcast.org, and on Discord, I'm Mr. PDX.
Jim?
I can be reached at jim@mintcast.org. I go by GNU to Linux on Discord itself, and I also occasionally release a podcast on YouTube as the Linux Shortcut.
Dale?
I am Dale_CDL on Telegram and Discord, and my email, because I'm too lazy to set up something else, is Dale_CDL@pm.me, and I have taken over the reins of the Distro Hoppers Digest podcast, and Majid has joined me to be a co-presenter, and the website is distrohoppersdigest.org, and it can be downloaded from wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, before we leave, we want to make sure to acknowledge some of the people who make mintCast possible. Bill for our audio editing and for hosting the server which runs our website, website maintenance, and the Nextcloud server on which we host our show notes and raw audio. Archive.org for hosting our audio files, Hopstar for our logo, and NRD for the animated Discord logo, Londoner for our time syncs, and various other contributions. We'd also like to thank the Linux Mint development team for the fine distro we love to talk about.
Thanks, Clem.
Thanks, Clem.
And
Thanks,
code.
Clem.
And wrap. Thanks everybody in the live stream. We appreciate the ongoing conversation there. Had a good time. We'll see you next